Shotgun for the chopper! Oh, shit. Closer. Sani, run!
Barney Ross and his team of elite mercenaries embark on a high-stakes mission to intercept a train and rescue an original member of the Expendables named Doc. After the rescue, they head to Somalia to take down an arms dealer, only to discover he is Conrad Stonebanks, a co-founder of the team, thought to be dead. Following a disastrous encounter that leaves a teammate wounded, Barney decides to recruit a younger, tech-savvy crew to face his old nemesis. The old-school veterans eventually join forces with the new recruits for a massive explosive showdown in an abandoned building to settle the score once and for all.
Stop mumbling.
Nothing, run over.
Forget this man! Time to mow the lawn! Told you! Go, go, go! For this, not enough. We're out of this. Go right. Get up. Getting car sick. Caesar, we're coming your way. We're close as you can. Caesar! Who's that? A huge black guy. Hold it. You all right? chopper!
Oh, shit. Closer.
Drummer!
Back in 5.
Got it.
I'm right here! Go, go, go!
Hot bumbling.
Hey guys, today we are diving into the high-octane world of aging legends and explosive pyrotechnics in The Expendables 3. This movie brings together the ultimate roster of action icons for a mission that gets very personal and very loud. I put a lot of work into these, so if you like what you see, a like and a subscribe is always appreciated. No worries if not. Grab some popcorn because we are about to break down every punch and explosion. The story begins with a deafening roar as a military train snakes through the rugged, snow-dusted landscape of a high-security prison transport route. The rhythmic clatter of metal wheels against steel tracks provides a steady, hypnotic beat that is suddenly shattered by the distant, growing chop-chop-chop of helicopter blades. Barney Ross is at the sticks of his familiar, battle-scarred chopper, hovering precariously close to the train cars. Beside him, Christmas, Gunner, and Toll Road are geared up, their faces set in grim masks of concentration. They are not here for cargo. They are here for a ghost. A man known as Dr. Death, one of the original members of the team, has been rotting in a black site prison for 8 years, and the boys are here to bring him home. The camera focuses on the tension in Barney's hands as he fights the wind shear, the helicopter dancing dangerously close to the overhead power lines. Gunner leans out of the open door, his massive frame anchored by a safety line, and he begins to lay down suppressive fire. The muzzle flashes are bright even in the daylight, and the spent casings bounce off the helicopter floor with a metallic tinkle. Down on the train, the guards scramble, their boots thumping against the metal roofs of the cars. They return fire, and the ping of bullets against the chopper's skin sounds like hail on a tin roof. Christmas, ever the specialist with blades, prepares a massive grappling hook. With a grunt of effort, he launches it, the heavy metal claw biting into the roof of the prisoner transport car with a screech of tearing steel. The cable pulled taut, and the chopper acted as a massive anchor, slowing the train's momentum as the friction sent sparks flying into the cold air.
Barney executes a daring maneuver, swinging the chopper around so the team can fast rope onto the moving target. The slide down the rope is a blur of friction and heat, the thick nylon gloves of the mercenaries smoking as they hit the roof. Once down, the action is frantic. Doc is inside a reinforced steel cage, and the guards inside are not giving him up without a fight. The sound of flashbangs going off is a sharp, disorienting crack, followed by a high-pitched ringing that seems to vibrate in the very air. In the chaos, Doc is revealed, a bearded and wild-eyed Wesley Snipes who looks like he has forgotten what sunlight feels like. He does not wait for a formal introduction. The moment his shackles are blown open with a concentrated thermite charge that hisses and glows bright white, he is a whirlwind of motion. Doc grabs a stray knife and moves with a fluid, lethal grace that makes the younger guards look like they are standing still. The sound of the knife slicing through the air is a soft hiss, followed by the wet thud of impact. He is back in his element. As the team extracts him, the train is barreling toward a massive bridge blockade. Barney pulls the chopper up at the very last second, the skids almost scraping the top of the prison car as the team hooks back on. The train slams into the blockade with a tectonic groan of folding metal and the thunderous boom of an explosion that sends a fireball rolling into the sky. Doc stands on the edge of the chopper, looking back at the wreckage with a grim smile, his first breath of freedom smelling deeply of cordite and burning diesel. It is a hell of a way to start a Tuesday. Back at the secret hangar, the atmosphere is a mix of nostalgia and tension. The air is thick with the scent of stale coffee, cigar smoke, and gun oil. Doc is shaving his overgrown beard with a massive combat knife, the scraping sound of steel against stubble filling the quiet room. He and Barney share a look that speaks volumes about their shared history, though the jokes about why Doc was in prison in the first place, something about tax evasion, add a nice meta-touch for the audience. But there is no time for a long reunion. A new mission is on the horizon. Max Drummer, a high-level CIA operative played by a very stoic Harrison Ford, has replaced the elusive Mr. Church. Drummer is all business, his voice a gravelly rumble as he briefs the team on their next target, a notorious arms dealer who has been untouchable for years.
The team flies to Mogadishu, Somalia, to intercept a shipment of thermobaric bombs. The setting is a sprawling, rusted shipyard where the salty sea air mixes with the stench of decay. The mission starts as a stealthy insertion, the team moving like shadows between towering stacks of shipping containers. The only sounds are the distant lapping of waves and the occasional cry of a gull. But this is an Expendables movie, so the stealth lasts about 3 minutes. As they get eyes on the deal, Barney freezes. Through his binoculars, he sees a face he hasn't seen in over a decade. It is Conrad Stonebanks, a man Barney himself supposedly killed years ago. The shock is visible in the tightening of Barney's jaw and the way his breath hitches. Stonebanks was a co-founder of the team who went rogue, and now he is back from the dead and more dangerous than ever. The silence is broken by the roar of a heavy machine gun. Stonebanks has spotted them, and the shipyard erupts into a war zone. The sound of heavy-caliber rounds punching through shipping containers is like a giant hammer hitting an anvil. Barney orders the attack, and the air becomes a crisscross of tracer fire. Caesar, the team's heavy weapons specialist, steps forward with his massive automatic shotgun. The boom, boom, boom of the weapon is a physical force, the recoil shaking his entire body as he clears a path through the mercenaries. But Stonebanks is prepared. He isn't just a criminal, he is a tactician. From the deck of a massive cargo ship, he orchestrates a counter-ambush. A sniper round cracks through the air, a whip-like sound that precedes the impact by a fraction of a second. Caesar is hit. The impact of the high-velocity round sends Caesar spinning, the heavy shotgun clattering to the concrete. The team screams in a mix of rage and panic as they scramble to get to their fallen brother. The sound of the firefight intensifies, a chaotic symphony of shouts, explosions, and the relentless hammering of lead. Barney is focused on Stonebanks, who stands on the ship's railing with a mocking grin. Stonebanks aims a missile launcher, the backblast a sudden cloud of dust and fire. The missile streaks through the air with a terrifying whoosh, slamming into a nearby fuel truck. The resulting explosion is a wall of heat and sound that knocks everyone to the ground. In the blinding light and thick black smoke, Stonebanks makes his escape, leaving the team broken and Caesar clinging to life.
The return to the United States is somber. The interior of the plane is quiet, save for the low hum of the engines and the steady beep of the medical monitors keeping Caesar stable. Barney sits alone, his face etched with guilt and a burgeoning, icy resolve. He realizes that his team, his brothers, are getting older. They have slowed down just enough for a man like Stonebanks to exploit. He can't watch them die one by one for his past mistakes. When they land, Barney makes a choice that cuts deeper than any bullet. He meets the team at their favorite bar, a place filled with the echoes of their past victories, and tells them it is over. He is disbanding the crew. The look of betrayal on Christmas's face is palpable, the silence in the bar heavier than the threat of 1,000 soldiers. Christmas tries to argue, his voice thick with emotion, but Barney is a wall of stone. He walks away, leaving his family behind to protect them from a war they didn't start. To hunt a man like Stonebanks, Barney needs a different kind of soldier. He needs people with no history, no attachments, and perhaps a bit of a death wish. He enlists the help of Bonaparte, an old friend and mercenary scout, played with a charming, fast-talking energy by Kelsey Grammer. The recruitment montage begins, a globe-trotting journey that takes us from the gritty boxing gyms of the Midwest to the high-tech hubs of Europe. The first stop is to find Smiley, a former Navy SEAL who was dishonorably discharged for punching a superior officer. He is a brawler with a chip on his shoulder the size of a mountain. The sound of his fists hitting a heavy bag in a dark, sweaty gym is a series of dull, wet thuds that speak to his raw power. Smiley doesn't care about the money. He just wants a reason to fight again. Next, they find Luna, a nightclub bouncer who can take down a group of rowdy drunks without spilling her drink. She is played by Ronda Rousey, and her introduction is a clinic in close-quarters combat. The sound of joints popping and bodies hitting the floor is sharp and clinical. She has a cold, professional edge that Barney respects. Then there is Mars, a sniper who has lost his hearing due to years of explosive work, but hasn't lost his aim. He communicates through a series of hand signals and a tablet, his movements precise and economical. Finally, they recruit Thorne, a hacker and base jumper who lives for the adrenaline rush. He is first seen leaping off a massive skyscraper, the wind whistling through his suit as he glides between buildings, a silent shadow against the city lights. This is the new blood, a tech-savvy, fast-moving crew that Barney believes can outmaneuver Stonebanks.
The transition from the old team to the new is jarring for Barney. He is used to the easy camaraderie and the shared history of his old friends, but these new kids are different. They talk in technical jargon and rely on drones and hacking rather than brute force and experience. But they are effective. They track Stonebanks to a high-rise building in Bucharest, Romania, where he is finalizing a deal for a shipment of sophisticated weaponry. The plan is a surgical strike, no more massive explosions, just a quiet extraction. The team uses a high-tech van filled with monitors and blinking lights, the soft hum of the computers a stark contrast to the usual roar of Barney's engines. Thorne hacks the building's security system with a series of rapid keystrokes, the electronic chirps indicating that doors are unlocking and cameras are looping. The insertion is a masterclass in modern tactics. They move through the building's air ducts and stairwells, their footsteps muffled by specialized gear. The sound of suppressed pistols, a series of soft metallic coughs, marks the quiet elimination of Stonebanks' perimeter guards. They reach the penthouse where Stonebanks is holding court. The tension is thick enough to cut with a knife. Stonebanks is sophisticated, sipping expensive wine and discussing art, but beneath the surface, he is a predator. The new team moves in, and for a moment it looks like they have him. They catch him by surprise, the flash of their tactical lights disorienting the room. They zip-tie his hands, the plastic zips making a sharp ratcheting sound, and begin the extraction. But Stonebanks isn't a man who stays captured for long. As they move him towards their extraction point, the trap is sprung. It turns out Stonebanks had a tracker embedded in his own skin, a detail the young team missed in their haste. Suddenly, the quiet night is shattered by the roar of heavy engines. Black SUVs swarm the area, and the sound of dozens of doors slamming shut at once is like a firing squad. The new team is surrounded. Stonebanks, even with his hands tied, remains remarkably calm. He looks at Barney and laughs, a cold, dry sound that sends shivers down the spine. The firefight that follows is chaotic and desperate. The new team is talented, but they lack the battle-hardened instincts of the veterans. One by one, they are pinned down.
Barney realizes the situation is hopeless and orders a retreat, but it is too late for the kids. A series of non-lethal grenades explode with a white light and a high-frequency whine that drops the recruits to their knees. Barney is forced to jump from the building into the river below to escape, the sound of the rushing water swallowing the shouts of the soldiers above. He surfaces downriver, gasping for air, the cold water chilling him to the bone. He is alone. His new team has been captured, and Stonebanks is still at large. The failure is absolute. Barney makes his way to a safe house, his movements slow and pained. He feels every one of his years in that moment. While at the safe house, Barney is approached by a man he tried to avoid during the recruitment phase, Galgo. Played by Antonio Banderas, Galgo is a former Spanish legionnaire who is desperate for work, mainly because he can't stop talking long enough for anyone to want to work with him. Galgo is a fountain of words, a fast-talking, energetic presence that provides a much-needed lighthearted contrast to Barney's grim mood. He begs Barney for a spot on the team, demonstrating his speed and agility by sprinting across the room and performing a series of acrobatic moves that end with him drawing his weapon in a blur of motion. Barney initially refuses, but Galgo's persistence is relentless. He is like a puppy with a grenade launcher, and eventually, Barney realizes he needs every hand he can get. Just as Barney and Galgo are preparing to leave, the door to the safe house swings open. In walk Christmas, Doc, Gunner, and Toll Road. They haven't gone anywhere. They followed Barney, knowing he would get himself into trouble. The tension in the room is thick, but it quickly dissolves into a shared understanding. They are the Expendables, and they don't leave their own behind, even if those own are a bunch of kids who thought they could replace them. There is a sense of relief in the air, a return to the familiar. The sound of magazines being slammed into rifles and knives being sharpened fills the room, a rhythmic preparation for the storm to come. They are going to get the kids back, and they are going to finish Stonebanks once and for all. The team, now a mix of the old guard and the hyper-energetic Galgo, boards a massive transport plane. Max Drummer joins them, and surprisingly, so does Trench, played by Arnold Schwarzenegger, and Yin Yang, played by Jet Li. It is a full house of legends. The interior of the plane is a symphony of preparation. The metallic clink of grenades being hooked onto vests, the rasp of Velcro, and the low-frequency rumble of the engines create an atmosphere of impending doom for whoever is on the receiving end. Trench and Barney share a cigar, the smell of premium tobacco momentarily masking the scent of gun oil. They are heading to Asmenistan, a war-torn country where Stonebanks has retreated to a massive, crumbling hotel that serves as his fortress.
As they fly over the rugged terrain of Asmenistan, the plan is laid out. It is going to be a full-scale assault. Stonebanks has an entire army at his disposal, including tanks, attack helicopters, and hundreds of well-trained soldiers. The hotel is a labyrinth of concrete and steel, a perfect killing ground. The team's insertion is anything but quiet this time. They drop from the plane in a series of high-altitude jumps, the roar of the wind in their ears, until their chutes snap open with a violent jerk. They land on the roof and the surrounding grounds, the sound of their boots hitting the gravel, the first signal of the coming massacre. The assault on the hotel is a masterpiece of action choreography. It starts with a series of coordinated breaches. Explosive charges blow through the heavy reinforced doors with a bone-shaking thump, followed immediately by the staccato rhythm of automatic fire. The team moves in pairs, the old guys showing the tactical patience that only comes from decades of survival. Christmas is a blur of motion, his knives finding gaps in body armor with a sickeningly soft sound. Doc is right beside him, using a straight razor with terrifying precision, the metal flashing in the dim light of the corridors. The sounds of the fight are visceral, the heavy thud of bodies hitting the floor, the frantic shouting of the Asmenistan soldiers, and the relentless clatter of spent brass hitting the tile. They find the new recruits held in a massive atrium, wired to a sophisticated explosive device that is rigged to the building's structural supports. If the timer hits 0, the entire hotel becomes a tomb. Thorne, the hacker, is already trying to work the keypad, but his hands are shaking from the beatings he took. Barney and the veterans provide a perimeter, their weapons creating a wall of lead that keeps the soldiers at bay. This is where the two generations finally click. The kids use their tech to highlight enemy positions, and the veterans use their experience to take them out. It is a seamless integration of old-school grit and new-school precision. The scale of the battle escalates when Stonebanks orders his heavy armor to join the fray. The first tank shell hits the side of the hotel with a sound like the world ending. The building shudders, dust and plaster raining down on the combatants. The sound of the tank's treads grinding over the rubble is a low, menacing rumble that vibrates in the chest. Barney realizes they are being outgunned and calls for air support. This is where Max Drummer and Trench come in. They are piloting an attack helicopter, and the sound of its twin miniguns spinning up is a high-pitched whine that quickly turns into a continuous roar. The stream of lead from the sky shreds the enemy vehicles, the explosions of the tank sending columns of oily black smoke into the air.
Inside the hotel, the fight moves floor by floor. Galgo is a revelation, sprinting through the hallways and taking out enemies with a manic energy that leaves even the veterans impressed. He talks the entire time, his voice a frantic narration of his own heroics, punctuated by the sharp cracks of his pistol. He dives over a sofa, rolls through a shower of glass as a window is shot out, and pops up to headshot 2 soldiers, all without missing a beat in his story about a girl he knew in Madrid. It is the kind of chaotic, over-the-top action the franchise is known for, and it is executed with a relentless pace. As the timer on the explosives ticks down, the intensity reaches a fever pitch. Stonebanks realizes his army is being dismantled and decides to take matters into his own hands. He enters the hotel, armed with a heavy-caliber revolver that booms like a cannon. He and Barney eventually find each other in a partially collapsed wing of the building. The environment is a mess of twisted rebar, hanging wires, and drifting dust. The sound of their breathing is heavy and ragged, the only thing audible in the brief silences between the distant explosions outside. This isn't a tactical engagement anymore. It is a grudge match between 2 men who have hated each other for a lifetime. The final duel is brutal. They trade shots, the bullets chewing up the concrete pillars they are using for cover. When their ammunition runs dry, they drop their guns and engage in a desperate hand-to-hand struggle. The sound of the fight is raw, the wet slap of skin on skin, the heavy thud of a punch to the ribs, and the guttural groans of exertion. Stonebanks is a formidable fighter, his movements fueled by a cold, calculating rage. He slams Barney into a wall, the impact cracking the remaining plaster. Barney responds with a series of sharp, short-range strikes that sound like a butcher tenderizing meat. They tumble through a hole in the floor, falling into the level below in a cloud of debris. While Barney and Stonebanks are locked in their death struggle, the rest of the team is working frantically to evacuate the building. The timer is in its final minute. The sounds of the battle outside have shifted as the Afghanistan army begins to crumble under the combined might of the Expendables and the aerial bombardment from Drummer. The new recruits, led by Smiley, are carrying the wounded and clearing the path to the extraction point on the roof. The sound of the helicopter's blades is a beacon of hope above the roar of the fire. They reach the roof just as the building begins to groan, the structural integrity finally giving way.
Back in the ruins, Barney finds a second wind. He catches Stonebanks with a heavy hook that sends the villain reeling. As Stonebanks tries to reach for a hidden backup weapon, Barney is faster. He draws his sidearm and fires, the sound of the final shots echoing through the hollowed-out room. Stonebanks falls, his eyes finally losing their predatory spark. There is no long speech, no dramatic monologue, just the end of a long, bloody chapter in Barney's life. Barney looks at the tanger on the wall. 10 seconds. He doesn't have time for the stairs. He sprints toward a window and leaps out just as the first set of charges goes off. The demolition of the hotel is a spectacular display of practical effects and CGI. The building collapses inward, a series of thunderous booms followed by a massive cloud of gray dust that swallows the entire block. Barney is falling through the air, the wind whistling past him, when he is snagged by the landing skid of the extraction chopper. Christmas is there, his hand outstretched, pulling Barney into the safety of the cabin. They look down as the last of the hotel disappears into a pile of rubble. The mission is over. The silence that follows the collapse is hazy, broken only by the steady, comforting beat of the helicopter's rotors as they fly away from the destruction. The final scene takes place back at the team's favorite bar. The atmosphere is vastly different from the beginning of the movie. It is filled with laughter, the clinking of beer bottles, and the smell of fried food. The old team and the new team are sitting together, the tension of the past days replaced by a hard-earned mutual respect. Caesar is there, leaning on a cane, but very much alive, his booming laugh filling the room. Doc and Galgo are engaged in a compelling session, each trying to outdo the other with tales of past exploits. Luna is showing Smiley a new grappling technique, while Mars watches with a quiet, observant smile. Barney stands at the bar, watching his expanded family. He looks younger than he did at the start of the mission, the weight of the past finally lifted from his shoulders. Christmas walks up to him, and for the first time in the movie, they share a genuine, uncomplicated moment of friendship. There are no more secrets, no more attempts to protect each other by pushing each other away. They are the Expendables, a brotherhood that spans generations and survives the impossible. The camera pans across the room, capturing the faces of the legends who have defined the action genre for decades, standing alongside the new faces who will carry the torch. It is a moment of celebration, a tribute to the enduring power of teamwork and the unbreakable bonds formed in the heat of battle. The journey of the Expendables is a testament to the idea that age is just a number when you have a purpose and a family to fight for. Throughout their mission, we saw the clash between the old ways and the new, only to realize that the most powerful force is a combination of both. These warriors remind us that true strength lies in the willingness to sacrifice for one another and the courage to face the ghosts of our past. Their story is a celebration of resilience, showing that even when the world thinks you are obsolete, you can still stand tall and make a difference. It is a powerful reminder that heroes are defined not by their weapons, but by the heart they bring to the fight. The Expendables 3 is a high-energy tribute to the action stars who defined an era, blending nostalgic thrills with modern spectacle. While it leans into the tropes of the genre, it does so with a sense of fun and a genuine appreciation for its ensemble cast. The addition of new blood keeps the formula fresh, and the final battle is a masterclass in choreographed chaos. It is a movie that knows exactly what it is and delivers exactly what the fans want, making it a standout entry in the series. What do you think is the most iconic moment in the Expendables franchise so far?